John here from NoJokeNHL, here with our second round playoff previews. We have two series getting started tonight. Ottawa Senators at the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then we have the San Jose Sharks taking on the LA Kings. We have the other Western Conference series getting started tomorrow with the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Chicago Blackhawks, and then the other Eastern Conference final, Eastern Conference semifinal, I should say, getting started Thursday night with the Rangers visiting the Boston Bruins. So I'm going to cover the first three games to be played, the games tonight and the game Wednesday, as I'm not going to be around tomorrow to do a video. I'm going to be at the Orioles game in the afternoon. So I'm going to cover all three of those games. So without further ado, let's jump right at the car. Or actually, well, let's talk about what happened last night with the Rangers beating the Capitals 5-0 in D.C. And I was down, fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it, to be down, relatively close to the ice and watching that debacle go down. It wasn't so much Holtby. I mean, he let in a bad goal for sure, but the Rangers definitely came to play with a lot more intensity, got a lot of defensive breakdowns by the Capitals, get some breakaway goals, and lo and behold, the Rangers move on. So I have Rangers futures for the Cup. I have them at 20-1. I have a 21-1 and an 18-1. So I'm looking at about 19-1 on the Rangers to win the Cup, and I have a matchup at 27-1, Rangers facing the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup. So those two are still alive. But the first round overall, horrible for me. A loss with the Capitals, loss with the Blues, loss with the Ducks, and loss with Toronto. Like I said, that Toronto loss is still stinging. It's still stinging everybody. I can't even imagine the Toronto Maple Leafs themselves, how they're handling it. But man, devastating defeat. Definitely counting my chickens before they hatched last night. Sitting at the game like, oh well, at least this Toronto game's going well. And looking at my phone, watching like 3-1, 4-1 Toronto. I'm like, yes. And lo and behold, okay, 4-2. All right, hold on to this. Had a little Toronto puck line at 4-1. So that goes by the wayside, 4-3. And I'm like, all right, just hold on. And then 4-4. And I'm like, oh, geez, that's not good. And sure enough, Boston comes out and takes care of it in overtime. So not a very good first round for me. I'll be recapping my record for that online with the series, we'll put that up there. But definitely not a good round. And in a series where I pretty much had the lead, 2-0 lead in the Blues and Capitals series, 3-2 lead in the Capitals series. Toronto storms all the way back from 3-1 down to force that, and then up 4-2, up 4-1 in the third period, and can't get it done. So really, just a lot of defeats, snatched right from the jaws of victory, or whatever way you want to look at that expression. It was just not a good first round series. So let's get on to second round. We have Ottawa Senators, who took out the Montreal Canadiens, facing the Pittsburgh Penguins, who took out the Islanders. And we were able to jump on the Pittsburgh Penguins and the over the total because their goaltending is really shoddy, and they still have the same goaltenders in goal, although Vokoun is now the starter, and they've announced that he is the starter for tonight. Of course, for Ottawa, we have Craig Anderson, who has been really steady in that first round series, holding Montreal to very, very low output for the series. So Craig Anderson should be able to bring it for the Ottawa Senators, and the Ottawa Senators have a little revenge here with the Carlson injury being caused by the Penguins, and so they certainly have the motivation. They have the talent to be able to take care of it too. The only question is can Ottawa put enough offensive pressure on the Penguins? So if Penguins goaltending is anything steady or decent, we may not be able to see Ottawa get enough goals to do this. I definitely don't like the Penguins. I think they're a paper tiger. I think their goaltending is going to cost them at some point, whether it's in this round or the next round against either the Rangers or Bruins, if they get by. I'm not sure. So I'm certainly not on the Penguins in any capacity here. The one thing that I might look at is, of course, we were able to cash a lot of overs in the first round with Pittsburgh and New York. Of course, New York, a very offensive-minded team. Like I said, Ottawa is not necessarily offensive-minded. They had a lot of unders, even though in the first round a lot of their games went over. That's because Montreal and Carey Price wasn't able to stop them. And if that occurs here, maybe we'll see some overs. But in this first game, I think both these teams are going to play a little tight to the vest, and I'm actually looking to make a little play on the alternative lines. I'm going to take under 4.5 in this game one at more than 2-1, plus 220. The under 5 is at some plus money. Under 5.5 is minus 120. As they're definitely favoring the under here. But I'm going to take a little chance and take the under 4.5 at that very, very nice price, and hope that these two goaltenders at least stand up tonight and play solid hockey. I definitely know Craig Anderson's going to do that. It's whether or not Vukun's going to join the party, and hopefully he can. So I'm going to take a chance here with doing that. As far as the series goes, I know some people are on Ottawa. Like I said, the question marks is about whether they can score and keep up with the Penguins are the one thing that keep me from making the series play on them. So I'm probably going to watch and maybe jump in as the series goes on. If Ottawa loses tonight and they look okay doing it, and it's the same old Vukun, if it's if I don't get that under in and it's like 3-2 or something like that, then maybe I jump in on Ottawa, at probably more than 3-1, even close to 4-1 if they lose tonight. So that's the angle I'm going to take for there. Like I said, I'm definitely not a Pittsburgh backer here. Like I said, I think they're a paper tiger, and I really don't see them taking the championship. I can't believe people are still pounding them at less than 3-1, almost 2-1 now to win the cup. So just don't understand it. But then again, people make a lot of different bets. That's why they have them up on the board. Moving into the second game, we have the San Jose Sharks, who took out the Vancouver Canucks, facing the Kings, who took out the Blues. And if any of you handicap horse races, one of the things you look at is you look at the class of horses that your horse has been running against or have beaten. And so we look at the two opponents that these teams face in the first round, and certainly Vancouver leaves a lot to be desired. So I'm not so willing to say the Sharks, even though they did sweep Vancouver. I'm looking at Vancouver as more of an implosion than necessarily a Sharks victory, where they force their will. The Kings' victory against the Blues is exactly what I just said. It's they've forced their will on the Blues. Blues had some more chances. Certainly, they were up 2-0 in the series, and the Kings showed a lot of grit to come back and take 4 games straight against the Blues, who were kind of on the short list to come out of the West behind the Blackhawks. So so it's going to be an interesting series here. I kind of like the Kings, relatively short price favorite for the series, minus 145. They're a minus 150 favorite tonight, and or a minus 160 favorite tonight. And so I'm looking Kings here. The one thing I am going to do, I'm going to fly against the grain, and I'm going to go with the over in this first game. The over 5 is at plus 130. The over 5.5 is at plus 200, and that seems very generous. The last 10 games between these two teams basically has seen, when lined at 5, the over has happened 5 times, the under has happened twice, and they've pushed to the 5 3 times. So basically a 50% proposition of them clearing of winning the bet on the 5.5. And so with that, I'm going to take a little chance in this game 1. I know it's the playoffs. I know they're going to probably play a little tighter. Niemi and Quick are definitely outstanding goalies, and that's why they're favoring this line toward the under. But like I said, when things look likely, a likely under, you're going to pay the premium for that. And so to me, I think all the value is lying on the over. I'm not backing up the Brinks truck and guaranteeing a victory here, but this is a very nice price to be sitting on, just in case status quo holds up, or at least the last 10 games from this thing. The other interesting thing about these two teams is they really love playing on home ice. Both have outstanding home records this season, and in the series, but the last 10 between these two teams, 9 out of the 10 times the home team has won. Ironically, the only home team to lose was these Kings against the Sharks, and so that's a little interesting tidbit. Granted, a small sample of information, but we're going with that. So I kind of look for the Kings to take game 1 tonight and pretty much to be able to handle this series. Like I said, the way they handled the Blues, who to me is a much classier opponent than the Vancouver Canucks, showed that they were. And the way they took 4 straight from that Blues team, even though the Blues had plenty of chances and plenty of ways that they could have even won this series, let alone extended it to 7 games and so on. So they were able to get that key victory on St. Louis ice and then force the game 6 in LA. And like I said, they win a game 2-1 in LA to advance here. So I definitely look at the Kings as more battle tested going into this, and so that's what I'm going to go with. Because I'm going to the Orioles game, let me jump into the Blackhawks Red Wings. Of course, the Red Wings taking the Anaheim Ducks out in 7 games, and the Blackhawks taking the Wild out in 5. And I'm looking for the Hawks here to be all business. Like I said, they had that little slip up in Game 3 in Minnesota. Quenneville and the rest of the team, got right back on track, dominated the last 2 games, and were able to advance pretty easily. And like I said, this Red Wing team, I didn't have them advancing out of this first round. Obviously, I had the Ducks. Even when it went to 7, pretty much a lot of the public handicappers were all on Anaheim, and I was one of them as well. And they didn't get it done. So I'm not really convinced this Wings team is for real, or at least real enough to force their will on the Blackhawks here. So I'm going to look for a relatively workmanlike series for the Blackhawks. For the Blackhawks to sweep this, it's plus 555, and so 5s are wild, and I'm going to take them there. The Hawks 4 games to 1 is a little over 5-2. I'm not going to bite on that. I'm just going to take the chance with the sweep, and like I said, if I'm in a position in Game 3 or something like that, maybe be able to take a live bet and cover my losses there. But I definitely look for the Hawks to handle this one rather easily and get by here. Like I said, the Wings are really relying on just their top line, and of course Jimmy Howard. And like I said, the Hawks are the Hawks and their stars. So the Wings are pretty much going to have to play, as I described before, like whack-a-mole with the stars. So you might be able to shut Sharp down tonight, but then Taves will pop up, or Hossa will pop up, or even like a Brian Bickle or something like that. I mean, this Hawks team is deep. They mean business, and I definitely see them in the Western Conference Final. And I really don't think with the Wings being extended to 7 games, and like I said, getting the unlikely victory in this round 1, I think their season's pretty much done, and I'm going to jump on the Blackhawks to sweep this one, and like I said, at a nice 5.5 to 1. So that brings us to the end of today's report. Like I said, I'll probably be back maybe, no, I'll definitely be back Thursday with the recap of these games that I talked about today, and we'll look at the games for Thursday night. We have Game 1 between the Rangers-Bruins, and then we also have a Game 2, I think Ottawa-Pittsburgh getting Game 2 on Thursday, but I'm not sure with the schedule out in front of me. All right, so as always, let's drop the puck. We're in round 2, and more importantly, let's make some money.